Hello and welcome. Tonight, bandits abduct 87 people after raiding the Kajuru Station community in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. Chief of Defense Staff and Kaduna State Governor Ubasani pledged rescue of kidnapped victims. Defense Headquarters released list of 17 military personnel killed while on a peace mission in Okwama, Delta State. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana condemns killing but cautions against what he describes as mob justice. And another round of industrial action in the nation's federal universities begins as non-academic staff unions embark on a 7-day strike over withheld salaries.
On business news tonight, federal government partners U.S.-based firm to outsource 50,000 full-time jobs and attract up to $1.2 billion annually to Nigeria over the next 3 years.
On sports news tonight, Nottingham Forest drops into relegation zone after 4-point deduction for breaching the EPL's profitability and sustainability rules.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, the president presents APC flag to the party's candidates for the Edo State governorship election, Monday Okwebolu, and his running mate, Dennis Idahosa, says the party is on the path to victory.
And in international news from London, Vladimir Putin says Russia will grow stronger after a landslide win in the country's election, making him set to become the longest-serving Russian leader since Catherine the Great.
With the disturbing news from Kaduna, where at least 87 people have been reportedly kidnapped after bandits raided the Kajuru Station community in Kajuru local government area. The bandits were said to have looted some shops and houses located in the community. According to the chairman of Kajuru Council, Ibrahim Gajere, the attack occurred on Sunday night, coming a day after 14 people were kidnapped by bandits at Dogon Normal community, also in Kajuru local government area. However, the Chief of Defense Staff has again pledged that security operatives will ensure the rescue of the kidnapped victims. General Christopher Musa gave this assurance when he paid a visit to the Kaduna State Governor, Ubasani, in the wake of the latest abduction in Kajuru.
The troops are already moving to check out what's really going on there. But we just want to assure the citizens that, sometimes terrible things do happen, but these are things that will make us stronger. What we require is that all Nigerians should put hands together, support the military and other security forces. We are working tirelessly to ensure that we stop these acts of criminality. Abduction, as we know, is a social activity. People are doing it for their own sake. Some are doing it to bring down the government, to make the government look weak. But we guarantee that this will end. We are doing everything possible to ensure that we achieve success, and we will achieve success. Why particular area, and why Kaduna? Why Nigeria? So it's on a broader front. We're looking at all the possible options, why these things are happening. But as we're doing that, we're also trying to stop it, to make sure that it does. But what we require is for Nigerians to give us support. Most times when we get information, it comes in a bit late. Before we react to get there, it is late. But we're happy with the way people are responding. You can see from what happened in Delta State how Nigerians are responding. Everybody supporting the armed forces and the security forces. That is what will ginger the troops to continue to do more. But we assure them that we have given our lives for the sake of this country.
We'll certainly have more on this story. Meanwhile, the Defense Headquarters says 17 military personnel were killed in Okwama community in Bomadi local government area of Delta State. And of course, they were on a peace mission. That happened last week against 16 that was earlier announced. Well, according to a release by the Director of Defense Information, Brigadier General Tukur Guzo, the personnel consist of 1 lieutenant colonel, 2 majors, 1 captain, and 12 soldiers. Well, they are the commanding officer, 181 Amphibious Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel A.H. Ali, Major S.D. Shafa, Major D.E.O.B., Captain Zakari, and Sergeant Yahaya Seidu. All the others are Corporals Yahaya Dambaba, Kabiru Bashir, Lance Corporals Bulus Haruna, Shole Okweyemi, Bello Amos, Hammond Peter, Ibrahim Abdullahi, Private Alhaji Isa, Clement Francis, Abubakar Ali, Ibrahim Adamu, and Adamu Ibrahim. Now, the officers and soldiers were killed in Okwama community on March the 14th, like I said earlier, while on a peace mission to the area, an incident that has already sparked outrage across the country. Now, staying with the killing in Okwama, human rights lawyer Mr. Femi Falana has condemned the attack on the military in that community. Now, speaking on Channels Television Sunrise Daily, the senior advocate of Nigeria called for investigation into the deadly act. He, however, cautioned the army against succumbing to mob justice technique in fishing out the perpetrators, but to treat the case with utmost professionalism.
On the night of the 16th, angry soldiers stormed Okwama village and set it on fire. For me, it is avoidable. And you see, you can't blame soldiers alone. There is a general position in the society whereby, because of loss of confidence in the judicial system, everybody, embraces mob justice. Even the statement of the president yesterday, we are in a democratic system of government. The president cannot order military authorities to fish out civilians involved in a heinous crime. That is the duty of the police. In this case, it was reported by the chief of defense staff. This I read that on Saturday, General Christopher Musa, that some arrests have been made. So what I expected the authorities in Delta State to do on that day was to have these suspects transferred to the police so that on Monday morning, this morning, they will be charged before the court. And a statement ought to have been made. We've arrested the criminal elements. We are going to have them arraigned in court on Monday. At least that will go a long way to douse the tension that was allowed to mount, culminating, unfortunately, in the attack on Okwama village. We saw this in Zakibia. We saw this in Odi. We saw it in Baramotu. And when people went to court, nobody was talking of those who were killed. Nobody was looking for the criminals that killed. It was not a question of those who were made victims through collective punishment, which is not part of our law.
Away from the Delta killings, the Federal Capital Territory Administration, in collaboration with the FCT police, have embarked on the clearance of routes said to be used for escape by kidnappers in the nation's capital. While speaking at one of the sites at the Apo resettlement area of Abuja, Secretary Command and Control Center of the FCTA, Mr. Peter Olumuji, explains that the trees provide cover for kidnappers from where they escape into Nasarawa State.
The road is dusty and untarred as policemen from the FCT command storm the Zone A area of Apo resettlement to clear bush parts used by kidnappers. One after the other, trees are taken down to remove anything that might serve as a cover for criminal elements in the area. However, residents want the administration to do more.
A week ago, we have an encounter here that came and the intruders came and picked one of our residents, and that's why the trees have been cut. The CP visited here with his team, the anti-kidnapper team, and a host of other government, and the chairman of AMAC also visited here. So we had a meeting with them. They assured us that we are going to see if they can find a permanent solution from the intruders. Normally they come from behind the hills. So we are glad that this is being done today.
We want to sincerely appeal that the FCT minister should come to our rescue based on this road and security. We've been having a lot of challenges, and you know we have little children around. Going to school is so difficult, and it's really constituting security challenge because we have a lot of problems here. We are begging the FCT minister to please, for the sake of God and the sake of these children we bring up here, to come and rescue us, to help us and see what can be done about this road.
The leader of the team explains the rationale for the felling of trees in the area.
The FCT Police Command in recent time have recorded a lot of successes by rescuing most of these kidnapped victims. And from what they've gathered so far, they realize that this particular route, if it's not taken care of, can still be a safe haven and escape route for the kidnappers. And that is why the FCT Police Command, like you've seen, they've deployed massively here in conjunction with the FCT administration to ensuring that these trees, which serves as safe haven for these kidnappers whenever they kidnap their victim, is removed.
The Apo-Karishi Road, which was awarded in 2011, is at 75% completion, according to the Federal Capital Territory Administration, who is hoping to resume the construction of the project as soon as possible.
The Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union, NASU, have begun a 7-day warning strike over what the unions describe as unfair treatment and disparity in the payment of withheld salaries by the federal government. The channel's television monitored the compliance level in some parts of the country.
It appears quite normal driving into the University of Lagos. Underneath this semi-normalcy is an undercurrent that threatens to keep the students from completing their exams. A 7-day warning strike by the Joint Action Congress of NASU and SANU. As far as they are concerned, there is no going back until the federal government meets its obligations to them.
All our members have been directed not to partake in those exams until the end of the strike.
The students are concerned about the development.
My fears about this strike is its disruptive nature and the academic life of students here in the campus.
About 140 kilometers away is the University of Ibadan, where these members of the striking unions are on campus, but are only working partially. They say the situation may get worse in the coming days. At the University of Benin, Edo State's south of the country, the leadership of the unions monitor compliance level. They, however, rule the federal government's indifference to their plight.
With government not also paying us our own 4 months, we are saying it's like government is trying to witch hunt us.
Similar situation plays out at the Bayero University, Kano, where union leadership say a total shutdown of operation is imminent.
As you can see, this is just a 7-day warning strike, but it's comprehensive. We have decided to withdraw all our services.
In Owerri, Imo State, the atmosphere at the Federal University is calm amidst the growing tension occasioned by the warning strike.
We want the federal government to do the needful by allowing the workers to benefit the little thing, which is that salary.
The case is no different at the University of Port Harcourt, where operations carried out by the unions are gradually winding down. In Abuja, compliance level at the university is high, but it appears the students are yet to feel the heat, which is likely to get hotter, going by the threats coming from the unions.
This selective treatment is unacceptable to us. We are equal stakeholders, very active people in the universities.
It's day one of a 7-day journey, which could get better or worse depending on the federal government's response. The way forward, however, must have at its core the interest of the students.
In part 2 after the break, Motorcyclists take to the streets in Asaba Delta State to protest the killings of some of their colleagues. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 coming to you live on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Bandits abduct 87 people after raiding the Kajuru Station community in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State. Chief of Defense Staff and Kaduna State Governor Ubasani pledged rescue of kidnapped victims. Defense Headquarters releases list of 17 military personnel killed while on a peace mission in Okwama Delta State. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana condemns killing but cautions against what he described as mob justice. Another round of industrial action in the nation's federal universities begin as non-academic staff unions embark on a 7-day strike over withheld salaries. And President Putin predicts Russia will grow stronger after a landslide win in the country's election. In an apparent demonstration of solidarity, President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the NLC, Comrade Joe Ajero, has called for the immediate payment of the salaries withheld, that's withheld salaries of NASU and, of course, SANU members. In a statement, Mr. Ajero maintains that there has been no credible reason or explanation for withholding those salaries, an act, he notes, plunged the members into hardship. Mr. Ajero adds that at the time confidence is being restored to the public universities, the least government could do is not engineer another strike, which would have negative impact on students and their parents. In other stories, protesters, mainly motorcycle riders, took over major roads and markets in Asaba, the Delta State capital, and Okayama in Oshimini North local government area to protest the death of 2 of their colleagues on Sunday night. Businesses around the popular Midway Free Market in Okwanam and the Delta State Post-Primary Education Board along Sunis Road were also attacked by the protesters. According to the Delta State Police spokesperson Bright Edafe, the motorcycle riders were protesting the death of their colleagues during an enforcement operation by the state task force. Security personnel were later drafted in to bring the situation under control. In Ogun State, many people were reported injured following a clash between members of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, the NURTW, and the Ogun State Parks Management. It was gathered that trouble started when the State Commissioner for Transportation, Benga Dairo, directed the leadership of Ogun Parks Management to stop the sale of revenue tickets while the NURTW was ordered to take over. This was said not to have gone down well with members of the Ogun Parks Management who stormed various parks with dangerous weapons. Now, the Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Alamut, said the situation had been brought under control and dismissed claims in some quarters that lives were lost in the fracas. So let's head to the nation's capital where Gloria Omezuoke is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studio. Great to see you again, Gloria.
Many thanks, Ayo. Here in the nation's capital, we begin with politics. The president says the All Progressives Congress is on the path to victory in the forthcoming governorship election in Edo State. President Bola Tinubu made this assertion at a brief ceremony for the presentation of the party's flag to the flag bearer, Senator Monday Okwebolu, and his running mate, Mr. Dennis Idahosa, at the State House. He commended the leadership of the party in Edo for resolving the issues that trailed the party primary, pledging that APC would stand with the candidates like the Wall of Gibraltar.
You understand the importance of Edo State to Nigeria and particularly to APC. I am very glad of what you've done as party leaders, putting our house in order. To our candidate, Thank you. To the running mate, thank you. We are putting you forward to be able to hold the party in trust for us and get a victory for us. If you are happy, we are happy. Are you determined? Are you? If you are, we are determined. We are going to walk with you. We are going to stay with you like Rock of Gibraltar. That's all I can show you. The party is supreme, but victory is superior and very, very important.
In other stories, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, says all those sabotaging the system in the Federal Capital Territory administration have been flushed out. He said this during the swearing-in of the newly appointed head of the FCT Civil Service Commission, permanent secretaries and commissioners, among others. He warned the newly inaugurated top management staff of the FCTA to be proactive or risk being kicked out of the system as well. Our correspondent, Kumbi Aboluwade, reports.
For the first time since the passage of the FCT 2018 Act, the Federal Capital Territory Civil Service Act is being implemented, with the official swearing-in of the head of service, the chairman, 10 permanent secretaries, and 6 commissioners by the FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike. Also sworn in during the ceremony is the Chief of Staff to the FCT Minister, as well as the coordinators of the Abuja Metropolitan Management Council and the Abuja Infrastructure Investment Council.
Thank you.
The FCT Minister, during his speech, charged the newly inaugurated top management staff to be proactive in carrying out their duties or risk being flushed out of the system.
I don't want to hear. Now that we're heading secretariats, you have your mandate secretaries as our political heads. I don't want to hear that files are unduly delayed. We don't know the secretariat that you'll be posted. Wherever you are posted, what we require for you is commitment and total loyalty. Total loyalty. Nothing like 99.something%. It's 100%.
The minister also expressed strong belief in transforming the FCT administration, while stating that those sabotaging the system have all been flushed out.
Just recently, we found out somebody who was sabotaging the works of the FCTA. But thank God, all those bad people have all left. All those who don't want you to be independent, who wanted permanent secretaries from the Federal Civil Service, they have all left. But please, we want you to assist, we want you to support the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu to realize the renewed hope agenda.
The establishment of the FCT Civil Service Commission is expected to be in charge of appointing, promoting, ensuring discipline, and transfer of civil servants within the FCT workforce. From the nation's capital, Kumbi Aboluwade, Channels Television News.
It was a turn of Okpoko community in Ogbaru local government area of Anambra State to host Governor Chukwuma Soludo, whose promises for the people 2 years ago have become a reality in the area. In excitement, they trooped out en masse, hailing Governor Soludo for new roads, pipe-borne water, street lights, hospital, among other projects. During a town hall meeting, Governor Soludo said the standard of his administration can be measured with the quality of living in Okpoko.
They are about the future. They
Okpoko community, one of the most populated areas in Anambra State. A day after Professor Chukwuma Soludo was sworn in as governor, he visited the area and gave assurances of regeneration. Exactly 2 years after, the 12-kilometer Obodoku Access Road project is being commissioned.
We made promises. Obogo Gadiche. Obogo will be different. We will regenerate Obogo, where you have the poor people, abandoned neighborhoods with no facilities, roads, lights, street lights, water.
Next is the inspection of the General Hospital, where women will have access to free antenatal services and childbirth. A town hall meeting at St. Charles Luanga Parish, Okpoko, climaxes the visit. Speaker after speaker maintained that Governor Chukwuma Soludo has kept his promise to the people and therefore has their support in the next election. Governor Soludo reiterates his determination to provide basic amenities for the people.
We're cleaning the drainages, cleaning the streets, waste management, sewage management, and now about 15 kilometers of road ongoing simultaneously, 12 already completed.
He highlights other ongoing projects in the area.
I also went on inspection. The General Hospital, you have never had health facility, General Hospital, since the creation of Adam and Eve. Okay? Today I went on inspection, and in the next few days, they're already even doing free health, free medical outreach there as we speak. And in the next few days, it will be ready for commissioning.
The people, especially women, who can no longer contain their joy, troop out and spread their wrappers for the governor to walk on as a sign of love, honor, and loyalty. Governor Soludo gives assurances that the popular Nwokedi Street, known to be impassable, will be reconstructed, as he believes his administration can only be said to be successful if a Okpoko community succeeds.
Still ahead on the news at 10, the Imo State government has entered into partnership with the African Export-Import Bank for the dredging of Orashi River to the Atlantic Ocean and execution of other projects. Plus, the federal government partners US-based firm to outsource 50,000 full-time jobs and attract up to $1.2 billion annually to Nigeria over the next 3 years. That's some business news. I'm Johnny Sigler.
Welcome back. We return to Kaduna State, and as we told you earlier, the governor, Uba Sani, has been speaking on the security situation in his state. It says a lot of progress is being recorded in an effort to rescue the abducted school children and other kidnapped victims in Chikun and Kajuru local government areas. He gave this assurance during the visit of the Chief of Defense Staff at the government house.
We have been making a lot of progress because we are working closely with the relevant security agencies. And just like the Chief of Defense Staff just reassured us today, that the armed forces are also trying their best. All the relevant security agencies are also trying their best. I want to also thank the community for the support they have been given to Kaduna State government, particularly the parents of the children that were abducted by the kidnappers. Here in Kaduna, like I said, we are doing everything to ensure that we protect the lives and properties of our citizens. Because we believe the protection of life and properties of our citizens is the most important responsibility of our government. We are also working with also with other volunteers, just like the families of the children, to ensure that they are given psychosocial support, because we know.
Meanwhile, Governor Uba Sani has flagged off the distribution of palliatives to vulnerable households, farmers and pensioners across the 23 local government areas of Kaduna State. Governor Sani says his administration is determined to unlock the enormous potential of the state and bring millions of rural poor people out of poverty through the provision of financial support and improving the ease of doing business. The palliatives are set to be worth over 11 billion naira.
The Umaru Musa Yaradua Conference Center in Kaduna State has filled to capacity for the distribution of the second batch of palliatives by the state government. In attendance are high-profile personalities from within and outside the state. In his address, Governor Uba Sani reiterates the commitment of his administration to improve the livelihood of residents of the state, especially the less privileged.
The Kaduna State government is spending the sum of 11.4 billion in the distribution of the second batch of palliatives. We shall continue to take all measures necessary to bring succor to the poor and vulnerable in our state. In the next 2 months, we shall commence the implementation of the third phase of our palliatives program. It is a full package.
As part of the initiative, checks are distributed for payment of pensions and gratuities, as well as bereavement benefits to families of civil servants who have died. Small and medium-scale enterprise owners also receive funds geared towards upscaling their businesses. For the labor unions, the initiative is a clear manifestation of the governor's dedication to prioritizing the well-being of residents.
This scheme will go a long way, Your Excellency, in providing succor to your teaming civil servants who are dedicated, who are hardworking. We thank you immensely, as we want to assure you we will use this fund judiciously.
And outside the hall, Governor Sani flags off the distribution of 128 trucks of rice and maize worth 3.4 billion naira to over 1 million poor and vulnerable persons. This is in addition to the distribution of farm inputs and fertilizers to poor households, smallholder farmers, micro, small and medium enterprises, persons with disabilities, as well as market women.
Hundreds of thousands of these equipments, power tiller to support our farmers, because not only the machine, but we also give them the farm implements together to enhance farming in Kaduna State. And of course, this will go a long way in maintaining our position as a leading state in terms of agricultural development in Nigeria.
There is optimism that this activity will effectively meet the needs of the most vulnerable persons in Kaduna State.
World Oral Health Day is celebrated globally every year in March with the purpose of empowering people with the tools and knowledge to prevent and control oral diseases. And that is what Unilever Nigeria appears to be doing with one of its products, Pepsodent, by collaborating with the Nigerian Dental Association to embark on an oral health campaign for schools and communities, especially in underserved areas.
Oral diseases affect close to 3.5 billion people worldwide, with 3 out of 4 people affected living in the middle-income countries. That is according to the World Health Organization. Pepsodent says it is on a mission to eradicate oral diseases in Nigeria, and part of the plan is to reach 10 million children by 2025. Nigeria has an estimated dentist-to-population ratio of 1 to more than 53,000 people. This is far more than the WHO recommended ratio of 1 dentist to 5,000 people.
When Pepsodent Unilever came up with this idea of talk to a dentist, we quickly embraced it because The ideology is to take oral health to the underserved population, to the rural community where they don't have access to dental care. So we set up cabs in different locations, and we provide all the dental services ranging from free dental checkups to scaling and polishing to fillings to extraction of mobile teeth and even replacement of teeth.
Imagine teaching children from 6, 7, when they learn how to brush their teeth, take care of their teeth, they will go back, teach their parents. If their parents are doing the wrong thing, they will tell them, no, this is not how we are taught. It's done this way, it's done that way. And like that, the parents may even learn.
Unilever Nigeria says it will continue this collaborative initiative, especially in the underserved areas.
What we as a brand is trying to do is to make dental care, dental access accessible to a lot more Nigerians, and that's why we said #talk to a dentist. Everybody can now reach a dentist by just picking up your phone, your mobile devices, and then you would have some consultation that can be done over the phone, done with you without having to look for a dental practice close to you. So that's the rationale behind it, is just making sure that we have dental services accessible to more Nigerians as part of our own social mission for Pepsodent.
Unilever Nigeria is encouraging Nigerians, young and old, to adopt a preventive approach by improving their oral health with Pepsodent Free Dental Care campaign.
Time now for some business news with Melinda Akilami.
Many thanks, Ayotunde. Welcome to Business News. The Imo State government has entered into a partnership with the African Export-Import Bank for the dredging of the Orashi River to the Atlantic Ocean, the takeoff of the Ohaji Egbema Oil and Gas Free Trade Zone, and the commencement of its international cargo airport. At a meeting with the president of Afrexim Bank, Professor Benedict Orama, at the headquarters of the bank in Cairo, Egypt, Governor Hope Uzodinma says the business visit is part of his administration's plan to attract investment into Imo State.
Since assuming office for a second term in office, Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has been seeking ways to fulfill some of his campaign promises, especially in the area of economic investment drive, provision of job opportunities for youths, power generation, realization of the dredging of the Orashi River to the Atlantic Ocean, the takeoff of the federal government-approved Ohaji Egbema Gas Free Trade Zone, and the Imo International Cargo Airport, amongst others. Recently, he was in Egypt to seek ways of profitable partnership between Afrexim Bank and other giant investment companies. At the headquarters of Afrexim Bank, the governor and his team met with top management of the bank, led by the president, Professor Benedict Orama, as both discussed possible ways of partnership.
The president has a state that have the highest number of quantity of gas. We think that we are not going against the export of raw materials, crude oil as raw materials and gas as raw materials. So we have created an industrial cluster that will house a petrochemical plant, an LNG plant, a fertilizer plant.
We work hard and build the elements that we have advisory training. The good thing is that we have companies we work with, including company we have equity that do this so they can come.
After a successful meeting at the Afrexim Bank, the governor and his team met with the management of Elsewedi Electric, an Egyptian multinational electrical company, to discuss ways of partnership, this time on power generation and realization of the Ohaji Egbema Gas Free Trade Zone.
And our whole idea is to improve electricity supply in my state.
We have power generation in Egypt, the same in Greece. In the last years, over around 25,000 megawatt, even more.
After the meeting, pen is put to paper as both parties sign a memorandum of understanding. According to the governor, this visit will have positive impact on the economy of the state through investment potentials of at least $1.5 billion. He is also committing to judiciously utilize these opportunities in the best interest of the people of Imo State. Iyitopakute, Channels Television News.
Back home, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mrs. Doris Uzokanite, has signed a memorandum of understanding with a U.S.-based firm for the provision of 50,000 full-time business process outsourcing jobs to Nigeria. During the signing ceremony in Abuja, the minister explains that the jobs generated through the latest deal has the potential to attract up to $1.2 billion into the economy annually. The Bank of Industry has assured Nigerians that it will maintain its interest rate in spite of the economic headwinds and the increase in the NPR. The managing director of the bank, Dr. Olashupo Olusi, who met with journalists in Lagos to share his plans for small businesses, says this commitment is because the BOI is a non-profit-driven organization that targets boosting economic activities in the real sector. Now let's check out what's happening at the stock market. Willie Bong has all those details.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. It's the first trading day of the third full week in March, and it isn't looking so good for the NGX. The all-share index fell off the profit wagon after 10 straight of gains, the index dropping by 0.4% to a little above 104,000 points. And this negative performance is coming right after that hot inflation data Friday from the MBS. Investors, market players are probably waiting to see what next step the central bank will be taking with regards to interest rates. Now, at intraday, we saw the penny stocks dominating the gainers chart, and that sustained this momentum to the close of trade. But the big guys like MTN Nigeria, which was a major contributor to the positive performance last week, are taking the back seat today. MTN Nigeria lost about 20 naira today to close at 247 naira 50 kobo, and that's to the disappointment of many. I'm not going to be mentioning names now, but I'm sure the profit takers, on the other hand, cashed out big time. It's a pretty tricky time for investors just trying to figure out the right stock to be in at this current time. But as one analyst said today, follow the billionaires. And that's the Stock Market Report. Will Ibang signing out.
See, it is back to you, Ayotunde.
Many thanks, Melinda. Here's Simon Pusey with our international news and Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Vladimir Putin has predicted Russia will grow stronger after a landslide win in the country's election, making him set to become the longest-serving Russian leader since Catherine the Great. Mr. Putin received applause and cheers from supporters as he claimed victory and a fifth term in power. His victory speech oozed the confidence of a leader who's already been in power for a quarter of a century. In truth, no credible opposition candidate was allowed to stand. Supporters of the dead Putin critic Alexei Navalny did stage symbolic protests. Their Noon Against Putin initiative meant that long queues of voters formed at midday in Russian cities, including Moscow and St. Petersburg, while there were also attacks on voting booths by protesters. But it was never going to have any impact on the result.
It is illegal in Russia to express your opinions freely, to organize, and to demonstrate. And so Alexei Navalny, before he was killed by the Putin regime, created this form of protest in which voters could go and register their concerns about the Putin regime by standing in line all at the same time. And it's clear that many individuals went there to say no to Putin, to say yes to peace in Ukraine, and to state their desire to have a free Russia in the future. And of course, this is modest, and in symbolic. It's not going to change the election outcome.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he will press on with the military campaign against Hamas in Gaza, where aid agencies say famine is looming, while ceasefire talks were set to resume. Netanyahu told a cabinet meeting that Israel would push into Rafah, the last relatively safe place in the tiny, crowded Gaza enclave. This is despite calls from across the international community for Israel to resist an assault on the city.
I think the consequences of a ground operation in Rafah in the current circumstances would be catastrophic for the people of Gaza, for the Palestinians. It would be catastrophic for the humanitarian situation. It would be catastrophic all around. We very much hope that all of this can be avoided.
Hundreds of people in Cuba's second largest city, Santiago, have staged a rare public protest over chronic power blackouts and food shortages. The island is facing its worst economic crisis for 3 decades, with large parts of Cuba being left without power for more than 14 hours a day. Videos on social media show people chanting power and food. Its president blames the situation on US sanctions, but critics say it's down to government mismanagement. North Korea has fired short-range ballistic missiles into the sea for the first time in 2 months. South Korea's military said several short-range missiles flew about 300 kilometers after being fired from Pyongyang, the North's capital, landing off the east coast. It condemned the launches as a clear provocation and said it was sharing information on them with the United States and Japan. It comes as the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Seoul for a conference hosted by President Yoon Suk-yeol on advancing democracy. A law firm for taxi operators and drivers in Australia says Uber has agreed to pay $271.8 million in a lawsuit. Morris Blackburn lawyers filed the class action on behalf of over 8,000 taxi and hire car owners and drivers. The case alleged they lost income when the ride-hailing giant aggressively moved into the country. Emergency services say 2 people are in hospital after being attacked by a bear in a Slovakian town. A 49-year-old woman suffered an injury to her shoulder while a 72-year-old man was treated for a gash on his head. Reports say police went on to drive the bear out of town and into a forest. Videos posted on social media showed the bear bounding along a road. And a volcano in Iceland has erupted for the 4th time since December, spewing smoke and bright orange lava into the sky. In a video shot from a Coast Guard helicopter, fountains of molten rock soared from a long fissure in the ground and lava spread rapidly to each side. Authorities had warned for weeks that an eruption was imminent on the peninsula just south of Iceland's capital, Reykjavik. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. On Sports News tonight, the 4 corners of Nigeria are through to the finals of the women's football event at the 13th African Games in Ghana. The under-20 women's team, who are the defending champions, beat the Queen Cranes of Uganda 2-0 to advance to Friday's finals. And away from the African Games, so let's just bring a quick update at the end of day 12 of the Games. Egypt still leads the table with a total of 158 medals. Team Nigeria are in second on the table, as well as South Africa in third, and then Algeria and Tunisia completes the table. That's Sports tonight. It's back to Ayetunde.
Many thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. Bandits last night abducted 87 people after raiding the Kajuru Station community in Kajuru local government area of Kaduna State, just as the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, pledged the rescue of the kidnapped victims after meeting with Governor Uba Sani in Kaduna, who also gave assurances of the government's efforts to free the kidnapped victims. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayetunde. Good night.